turned into zombies, flying past the TV showing Jong Tu's image. Both Tu Lang and Lan Ky had to stop for a moment. He stretched out his right arm and squeezed the zombies that had just been summoned from the cells. Suddenly, smoke hissed on my face. Moments later, their faces were covered with a layer of bones that looked similar to those of Tu Lang and Lan Ky. The two little ones howled like they saw a ghost. And Jong Tu is so creative that each zombie is a completely different skeleton mask. The two of them were stunned and even angry that Jong Tu was creative at the wrong time and had the same abilities as us. This is the second form of these zombies. Simply pointing out a pointed finger. The army of zombies, wearing bone masks, immediately shot out in all directions. Then they gathered not far away from the robot's place. One for each child, and neatly dealt with the zombies that the robot had just summoned. Jong Sis zombies are still extremely good at fighting. And they operate very independently. The advantage is gradually tilting towards them. So the robot cannot let this continue. If you want to capture the enemy, you must capture the enemy general. He rushed towards Jong Tu alone with his fists out. His mouth said it was interesting. But the power he unleashed did not consider Jong Si to be below him at all. Booming. The continent on that side resounded with terrible waves. Even in the inner city, Lan Ky and Tu Lang had to cover their faces to avoid it. She grumbled, "This impact force could reach here. If they don't win or lose, we will disappear along with this world. The Earth is no longer suitable for this person to survive." These two guys chased each other, fighting like heaven and earth. Their speed was faster than the army's jet. Knowing they could not interfere, Tu Lang and Lan Ky told themselves, "We must quickly get to the small island." Coconut Snout and the ancient man were still busy placing their bets on the robot, continuously screaming into the walkie-talkie for him to hear. "Kill him quickly. Kill that guy for me." Kiet Min came out of nowhere, shook the chair, roared over their voices, "Killed those damn people." The human army had arrived on the island. At this time, the ancient man turned back to look at him in confusion, to see if he was joking or joking. Kiet Min repeated dirtily, not quickly retreating. After Mak Hung impaled a giant zombie, behind him were several strong men who had just landed on the small island. The ancient people hastily threw all the documents into the burning fire. They had to quickly burn all the research documents that could not be taken away. Then whatever could be taken away immediately ran to the helicopter. "The lift is already parked." As he ran away, he cursed Dong. "Damn it, weren't they going to stop Jong Si robot? Why did they come here?" Seeing that there were enough people, Kiet Min immediately urged the pilot to take off but did not see that guy answer. So he shook him a few more times. After looking back, they all realized that the plane had taken off but the wheels were broken. Lan Ky held it with one hand. She was transforming into the second form of a zombie, taking the frustration she had just gotten onto this helicopter, causing everyone to jump. "Aren't you guys on the front lines? Did you fly here or something?" But Lan Ky actually flew here. He simply used his hand to flick it. The helicopter exploded, leaving the remaining 3 doctors tied up in a corner, waiting for them to deal with it. Referring to the name of the half-bald programmer, Tu Lang growled, "You are an ancient person, right? Before seeing that suit, I thought he was tall and handsome. But it turned out he was a bald uncle. All of this was caused by you, right?" She was so loud that he cried while pretending to be innocent without hearing a single sentence. "Tell me quickly how to end this battle? If they don't help, I'm afraid Jong Si will attack until I don't know when." But the old guy was picked up and kept saying no. "There is no way. Such large-scale energy. No one can stop it." She lifted him up high, angrily denied. He was talking nonsense. He must have left a way out. If he was like that horrible bastard Kiet Min, maybe I would have believed him. At this time, Lan Ky was calmer than ever. Tu Lang let him go. "I had a way to make him tell the truth." She threw this bald guy to the ground, making him fall on his butt. Seeing Lan Ky walking slowly without saying a word, she looked even scarier. She swung her arm hard and cut a line on his arm, passing the zombie virus inside like Zhang Si did. Seeing the ancient people's dull eyes, Tu Lang was surprised and asked Lan Ky, did he even know how to do this? She replied yes, she could do it too, just not able to maintain it for too long. Damn it, this time he had cold feet, a coconut snout, and Dr. Kiet Min turned around and looked but could not stop the ancient man's assertion when questioned by Lan Ky. He replied that there was a way to end this battle. In the box over there was a button for a nano terminal. Just press it. The nano material containing Zhang Si's genes would disappear. There was no nano to act as a base. If possible, the Zhang Si robot will quickly disappear. When he saw Tu Lang pick up the button he had just mentioned out of the box, the ancient man immediately woke up. But at this moment he was sad no matter how much he screamed. A word of silence from Lan Ky made the first guy stop. This baldness instantly captured my soul. Looking inside the document box, Tu Lang also had to admire and sincerely praise. Unable to help but admire their research. At that time, on the live broadcast screen was the scene where the robot watched the army of zombies he created being scattered in the sky. Even though I clearly knew that Zhang Tu was gaining the upper hand, the robot's mouth still kept talking. I never thought I was that strong. Tu Lang didn't bother to listen. He immediately pressed the red button to lock the robot's muzzle. Unexpectedly, he continued to talk. It turns out that the feeling of oppressing others is like this. Now I understand, she screamed in panic at the ancient man. Why didn't it work? He himself was startled and didn't understand why that couldn't be the case. Without his body as a vessel, he simply couldn't live. Obviously, the robot was fine, and was now on the offensive, preparing to attack Zhang Tu again. The ancient man rushed over and grabbed the button in Tu Lang's hand, clicking it to prove that what he made was faultless. My nano robots were already designed. The robot was not only alive but could also fight. The yellow pieces on his armor suddenly popped up as if it were working. Thunder thundered in all directions and thundered towards the robot, like as increasing his power. Tu Lang couldn't see it. Didn't you say it couldn't live without a mechanical body? Inside the robot's body, extremely strange green genetic sequences appeared. It seemed he was transforming again, creating a terrible aftershock that wanted to blow away the surrounding people. Only Jiang. I'm still standing there waiting until the storm was extinguished. Ni-Ai's group was stunned and filled with curiosity like many human beings looking through a screen. Looking at the lower part that looks like a skirt and a tight loincloth. You know who has just appeared. Behind the thick layer of smoke and dust is a completely different white hair from Jiang Tu. Even though he had already guessed who it was, Tu Lang kept stammering, because no one could believe that robot Zhang Tu could transform into its fifth form. He chuckled as if answering the ancient man. Without a vessel, I can live too. Ni-Ai couldn't bear it anymore. In the end she and the reporters had to scream in terror. Even though this form of the robot looks extremely handsome, his murderous intent to kill is terrifying. Now the doctors who created it also feel extremely confused, not knowing how much strength is needed to beat this guy to death. Ni-Ai now feels that there are still so many things that she doesn't know. Oh my god, what kind of monster did our ancestors have to face? Facing this power that surpasses human perception, where will they go? Tu Lang and Lan Ky have only just passed the second form of the Gang T, and now feel that they can let go of their attachment to fighting these guys. The robot's appearance had some influence on Zhang Tu's zombies. They watched the new name appear and made incomprehensible squeaking sounds. Looking at Zhang Si with an arrogant smile on his lips, it suddenly spoke. My essence, or even a person, expressed itself. One guy's performance was enough to scare people to death. Ni-Ai didn't want to see this scene, but Jiang Tu didn't refuse. He glared at the robot from afar, causing those in the middle, like the cameraman and Ni-Ai, to reflect on their lives. Why are we running right into the middle like this? Someone save my life? On the left and right are two monsters. In front, is a group of zombies with hidden white bone masks. However, their target was not their group of humans, but rushed together towards the Jiangxi robot. He gritted his teeth and smiled mischievously. Then, without using his hands or feet, he was able to crush the zombies that came to him. It's all because of the tiny nanoparticles that cling to their bodies. They can't even scream for help. Their bodies have already disappeared with the wind. Ni and the cameramen dodged this way and that way to avoid that thing. Fortunately, they only intended to explode zombies and not aim at them, knowing that he was strong and that there were things around him that made him invulnerable. The robot grinned right at the direction the camera was pointing. In addition to their hair, their demeanor made Zhang Tu's disciples admit that he looked exactly like the Great King. Tiu Hak was scared and shouted into the microphone, calling for, "Great King, don't fight anymore. If you fight anymore, everyone will die." He did not answer, his right hand gently raised. A bit of dirt and rock under his feet floated for a while. Jiang Tu pointed towards the white hair and gently clasped his hand. Everything happened in just a few seconds. But in front of the human crowd, it seemed like a century had passed. Everyone focused on the movement of him raising his hand to cover his face. His lips moving something, making Tu Lang and Lan Ky feel that something was wrong. Zhang Si's face changed once again. It turned into a scholarly look with only one eye, accompanied by dark red slits. There it is again. It's halfway there again. Later, when this shape was completed, everyone recognized it, except for the different colors. It must be recognized that Jiang Tu now looked very much like a robot. In the sky over the Pacific Ocean, where Mak Hung was standing, suddenly turned red, then swirled as if there was a sewer in the sky. Swirling in disgust, that thing shot a huge stream of light towards Zhang Si, bathing him in that dazzling column of light. Humanity jumped over and over again, because that was not the sky created by Zhang Si. Changed. But that swirling substance was originally poured out from outer space, gradually spreading from the North Pole of the Earth to cover the entire globe. On the outside, the Earth is covered with a layer of red. So, on the inside, people looking up can only see a bright red color. Blood. This is that blood. Even the seas and oceans are also tinged with a dark red color. Outside, satellites captured images of that dark red color that began to stain the hot sun, causing it to be covered with a layer of red. And yet, Saturn, Mars and all the stars in the galaxy are also tinged with this hellish red color. Ancient people stammered, "I don't remember ever seeing this form before." While everyone was panicking, the robot smiled. Tu Lang and Lan Ky looked at Jiang Tu at the same time, only to understand what that guy was laughing at, because Jiang Tu's hair was now changing. A pure white silver color, looking no different from the robot in front of him. All movements of unrelated people immediately froze. Jiang Tu looked exactly like a yaksha demon, with red marks identical to his pupils on his face. If we talk about handsomeness, this form is his most handsome form, and is also the form that makes people feel the most obvious death. Instead of slowing down with the extremely magical transformation that made the world and sky tinged with Jiang Tu's blood, the robot smiled vaguely and looked towards the person with the same hair as him. "I don't remember that I ever had this form." Thunder rumbled behind Zhang Si's back, complementing the red sky that became more and more fierce. At this point, the ordinary humans couldn't stand it anymore. Ni knelt down next to her and wanted to cry. "Monsters, monsters, please spare us." In Zhang Tu's cold eyes, there was no trace of humanity. Facing humanity's pleas like a breeze blowing in his ears, his attitude was completely different from the grinning robot in front of him. "Please explain a bit. Haha, if you want me to disappear, you have to give me a reason." He finally forced Zhang Si to talk after destroying that human civilization that was all about killing, steal, and researched it himself. Just getting a little information. The robot was already very happy. "I see," as expected of the main body, because it was excited about the story Zhang Si was about to tell him. So it was even more excited and wanted to kill him. around the paper black airflow on his thick shoes. He said, I feel like I can still struggle a little more. But Zhang Si did not allow it. His hand was slightly away from his thigh. His voice was slow and negative. No, you can't. But his words couldn't stop that crazy guy from rushing forward. On its face was expectation. As long as it could defeat Zhang Tu's body, from now on it would be invincible in the world. Yet facing his greed were Jiang Tu's unmoving eyes as he raised his hand to his face level. Something. The robot braked. To see what Zhang Tu could do. Which was one of his worst decisions. The dazzling light from Zhang Tu's hand radiated everywhere. It had no physical effect on the robot's body. But he felt like the space around him had changed. Indeed, the sky and earth were dyed a red color. But were no longer the shape of the sky and earth that the robot was standing in front of Zhang Tu. In an instant, the entire earth where the robot smiled at Zhang Si turned into a tiny sphere, molded from the sky. Above, a bean-shaped blood swirled, pulling that miniature globe out of the sky before the surprised eyes of everyone present. In some miraculous way, Zhang Tu shrunk, the earth containing the robot into a marble in the palm of his hand. What was that? The audience felt confused, not sure if they were outside in the present with Jiang Tu, or in the red ball he held. Zhang Tu left the glowing red pill in his hand for a long time. Then held it tightly, as if he wanted to crush it, only seeing a few glimmers of light coming from it. The fear of being crushed into a ball made everyone scream in horror, even though the robot didn't scream. His face was filled with fear. When I closed my eyes again, the sky around Zhang Tu had returned to its usual blue and white clouds. The group of people crawled on the ground and vomited, wondering what had just happened. Why were they so dizzy? Even the strong men of humanity were lying flat on the ground, feeling like I just had a vestibular attack. Looking again, in Zhang Si's hand was the robot's neck. His smile was still on his lips. But no one could see what Zhang Si had just done. Everyone clearly saw that the earth had been crushed by him. Why didn't we do anything? And what was that form? Zhang Tu grabbed the robot whose lower part had been crushed and stared at it with fearless eyes. Only the upper part remained, but the new robot was still laughing loudly. Quite good. Very powerful. The gentle wind blew through his white hair. Zhang Tu remained floating in the air from beginning to end, neither saying nor explaining anything, as if everything were an illusion of the crowd. And he was not affected. Benefit from that. Tu Lang glanced at his friend and asked if he had just distorted space. Lan Kai's chest was still pounding. It was so exaggerated. It felt like I had just been crushed. The skin on the robot's face gradually peeled off. But it seemed like he wasn't in pain. It was still that smile. It was still a challenge. In fact, I could still feel it. Deep down he was still a little disgusted with humanity. Kind of right? His eyebrows moved a bit, only to respond with a seemingly unrelated sentence. You did it on purpose. That's right. He frankly admitted. That's right. Originally inside your body, I could have been a good person. Why separate me for others? Something else. Why don't you say this surprise right from the beginning? Just make the listener panic? Listening to the robot's monotonous voice. At first I was very good in your body. I never thought about running away. But you separated me and gave me to Hugh's group. So I must have thought about running away. Happened today. With your permission, I have given unparalleled power to this group of weak humans. All the way up to now. From Hugh to Tu Lang or Lan Ky. Nothing has happened without your permission. He smiled happily because he was the one who knew everything from beginning to end. You clearly knew that with the evil nature of humanity, you would definitely fight for this power until you bled. Even those who have not yet grasped his power. But those crazy doctors just need to hold Zhang Tu's genes in their hands and they will laugh out loud. Considering it a success. It knows that. So it accuses Zhang Tu of those things. Without your tacit consent, who can control me? No wonder the ancient man tried to press the control button no matter how many times the nano didn't work. I am just a strand of gene in your body. When I gain freedom, The first thing is to carry out my duties. Do you think this is my doing? Look at this ruined world. The ruins in the robot's eyes are just a footnote to the story he told today. The one who wants to destroy the civilized world today is also you. Because in your heart you still have a bit of hatred towards humanity. He didn't see any expression on Zhang Tu's face. He still laughed sarcastically at him. I was just following the rules. At this point, when the truth was revealed, Tu Lang and Lan Ky still didn't know what to say. But humanity is even less so. They just feel that their imagination is so poor that they can never imagine a scene where someone is talking to their genes. Waiting a few seconds for this guy to stop talking, Jiang Tu asked again, have you run out of things to say? Of course the robot's chattering. Beak replied no. The edges of his face began to scatter with the wind. But the story was still told as if it were very interesting. Now I have slaughtered nearly 1 billion humans all over the earth. And humanity has disappeared. You worked so hard to save the world. Do you think they will be grateful to you? They will be afraid of you. And then continue to oppose you. Behind your back. Otherwise, just do it. Do it until the end. Kill everyone. Above the robot's head, only the word refusal rang out. But he did not give up. So besides turning others into zombies, is there anything else you can do? His eyes looked like an Asura god shining at the robot. Spitting out a few short words, I can bring them back to life. Instantly, vanishing the amusement on his face. It's Zhang Sis genes. But it seems like this has never been within the robot's understanding. Without arguing any further, Zhang Tu used his right index finger to gently move a line on the robot's chest. Then placed his hand on the chest and gently rubbed it, from which he pulled out the still beating heart. The blood and heavy heart sounds made people feel like this was a horror image. Zhang Si not only dug it out but also turned it into a blanket of light in his hands. He raised his armpit to hold that beam of light. Right in front of him. The robot started to turn pale and squeezed it tightly. Jealous. Zhang Tu's heart shot out 7 to 8 beams of light. From there, they seemed to have a premonition and jumped around every corner of the globe. From those 7 to 8 levels of light, they branch out into hundreds and thousands of different levels of light. Searching for cities where people have died. Resurrecting those who were crushed to death by the robot at the first location. Found them. The 2 men from the top crew saw a piece of something fly towards the upper body of the little fairy idol. So they smiled and waited for the beauty to reappear. Who would have thought that if they wanted to have the upper body, they would have to have the skeleton first? They were stunned to realize that she was revived from her skeleton, and did not appear completely like herself. Coming back to life means having to take care of business right away. The cameraman immediately took out his phone and filmed the whole scene from muscles to bones to skin. Even the girl's round breasts gradually being perfected, until it took 3 hours to have my hair neatly trimmed or my eyes hidden. And even my strapless dress came back exactly the same. Reviving the dead is a good thing. But why is everyone so panicked? Those streaks of light revived the people who died in the exact order in which they were killed by the robot. Their consciousness also returned as soon as they were reborn, muttering to themselves, wondering if we were dead. Huh? No one understood what had just happened. They only knew clearly that the people around them and even themselves were indeed dead. Everywhere TV was still streaming online. They all hesitated, looking up to see why they were resurrected. The ancient man who spent so much effort trying to kill Zhang Si was now stunned by an ability he never thought he had. How could Zhang Tu's simple question make the robot's eyes widen? And finally the mischievous smile faded from his handsome lips. He just smiled gently and finally a rare expression of satisfaction appeared on his face. Okay, I'm satisfied. Tu Lang and Lan Ky saw with their own eyes the robot gradually disappearing with the wind. Finally becoming a small piece of jealousy in Zhang Tu's hands. This time you can rest assured. He heard that guy whispering to him. Like that before disappearing completely. Mak Hung and Minister Tran are barely alive but just now ran to Tu Lang. You guys have controlled Dr. Kiet Min. She dropped the red switch into Mak Hung's hand and said harshly, I want to meet them. Let's go to the front line and see. Then, leaving Mak Hung to guard the three doctors, she and Minister Tran rushed towards the outskirts of City H where Jiang Tu was watching his chain of jealousy gradually disappear. Just like that. At first it was thought that the Jiangxi robot was a plot by Kiet Min and the ancients to deal with the original, but in reality it was a copy created by Jiangxi himself because he had a little hatred in his heart with humanity. He knows that his own jealousy is not wrong. The person who wants to destroy humanity is ultimately still himself. To no longer suffer loneliness, Jiangxi opened the unknown sixth form, saving all living beings on Earth by breaking his heart. The bit of hatred towards humanity in his heart also disappeared, along with his own jealousy, completing his own redemption. 2 hours later, Tu Lang and Lan Qi came from the unknown island to the place where Jiang Tu's historic battle took place. This place was filled with smoke like a fairyland, and in the middle of that poetic scene was dark skin and the spiky head was standing silently like a statue. Tu Lang did not dare to step closer but asked Lan Ky next to him with a hesitant expression. Why didn't he move at all? It was so scary just now. Isn't he dead? Just as he was about to step back to check, Jiang Tu's head suddenly lifted up, making them both startled. Tu Lang asked first, are you okay? Before Jiang Tu could answer, Lan Ky approached and asked, I want to know, if you don't have a heart, will you ever turn into a normal zombie? No. Jiang Tu absent-mindedly opened his chest, saw his heart pounding inside, and smiled foolishly at the two girls in front of him. Haha, it will grow back a new one. The look of confusion returned. Lan Ky mumbled, I really want to strangle him to death. But anyway, I can't fight him, so I have to scold him directly into this damn guy's ear. He can't solve the battle. Okay, this time, what else does our president have to say to defend him? Jiang Tu's reason was only 2 words in. He forgot it, then suddenly remembered he had something in his hand. Jiang Tu spread it out for the two girls to see. After a several-day-long live broadcast, Tu Lang guessed that it was a mechanical nano. Jiang Tu didn't know what this thing was for, but he felt like it was very attached to him. It seemed like he really liked it, so he just took it. What if something interesting happened later? Just like that, the world entered a brief period of peace. Because of Zhang Si's appearance, and humanity faced new choices. Outside, we don't know what's going on, but the zombies in City H are still returning to their daily lives, still doing the same old jobs. They worked hard, in addition to ACU, hanging in an X shape on the town hall. The world was at peace again for a while. The president was on the plane again participating in regular events. Tu Lang and Lan Ky walked over and quietly asked with a serious look. Sir President, did you call us? Flipping through the newspaper in his hand. He just wanted to know where Jiang Tu was. But Tu Lang didn't know. After that event, he no longer came to work. The newspaper placed on the table by the president clearly stated 4 big words, dangerous Jiangxi, along with a few headlines. The president just clicked his tongue and said to himself, if the situation develops like this, society will encounter big problems and it will be very dangerous. That is, society will split. In the sealed car were Dr. Kiet Min and his 2 accomplices, wrapped in prison uniforms, returning to the prison area, looking through the window, their coconut muzzles calling out, Dr. Kiet Min. Look quickly. On the main road, there were many people protesting with homemade signs. They shouted loudly, Dr. Kiet Min, savior of humanity. There were a few people who still print his face on the photo as if he were swinging an idol, constantly screaming, Dr. Kiet Min is the savior of humanity. Or quickly release the innocent Dr. Kiet Min. Coconut Muzzle doesn't know why things turned out like this. But there are many people outside who support the scientists. Hearing someone on the street chant, Dr. Kiet Min is the hope of humanity, he chuckled. Good people became bad people. And bad people became good people. Dr. Kiet Min became humanity's religion. Just like the robot Zhang Si said. Although Zhang Si saved the world, humanity is not grateful to him, but is afraid. A dark fear spread throughout human society. They were angry but did not dare to speak. There are also some crazy people who worship Zhang Si's power, thinking that this is the final evolution of humanity. They call him the true God. So they worship him with many statues and fruits and incense sticks like a real temple. In this society, good people worship bad people, and bad people worship good people. Such a contradictory society will definitely cause a great chaos. The noise outside was endless. While at Zhang Tu's house the sound was also turned up at full volume. He lay in front of the big TV screen, scratching his butt while playing some back and forth game with excitement. Looking no different than a kid on summer vacation. Tiu Hak, still dressed in a solemn suit from beginning to end, poked his face through the door and called out, "Your Majesty, the current human society is a bit unstable. Who would have thought to see my great king like that?" His words got stuck in his throat. He pretended not to see Tiu Hak's distorted expression. Still calling, "You're here. Is there anything wrong?" Gently waving his hand behind him, he announced that two bastards wanted to see him. Jiang Tu built an office that looked like a genuine director. But the two bastards invited him to hold a cup of tea in their hands but were so scared that their faces were covered in sweat. They simultaneously gulped down their cups of tea to quench their thirst. Immediately saw Jiang Tu open the door and walk in with a naive smile on his lips. "Who's looking for me?" A Gao and a K silently looked at him expectantly. Jiang Tu didn't look surprised. "Just asking a question. Is it you guys? What's wrong?" The two looked at each other with determination and then suddenly knelt down in front of him. "My king is above. Please protect us."